but an old commandment. But he says again, a new commandment I write to you. You got anything? You got anything? Oh, okay. Let me finish reading verse number 8. Then I'm going to come back to my question. Again, a new commandment I write to you, which thing is true in him and in you. Which thing is true in him and in you. Because the darkness is passing away and the true light is already shining. So, back to my question. What is John saying in this first portion of verse number 8? You hear me?
And someone said, it's new because we are still living this right now.
Okay. It's new because we're still living this right now. Okay. I'll take that. You know? Talk to me.
Someone said, take off darkness and put on light.
Okay. You got to know? Okay. Watch this, my brothers and sisters. He says, again, a new commandment I write to you. Is he literally talking about a new commandment? Or is he talking about something else? Watch this. If we look, and I'm going to take us all the way back to the Ten Commandments. And I wish I had people here because I get somebody to read Deuteronomy 6 and 5. But Jalen, since you're here, I need you to read. You or Lisa, you one. Read Deuteronomy 5 and 6. This is one of the 10 Commandments. I'm gonna try to pour out some of the Lord being my help. Deuteronomy 6 and 5.
6 and 5 is
6 and 5. You gonna read it?
You want me to read it?
Yes, ma'am.
You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength.
Okay. What version is that?
It's New King James.
New King James?
New King James.
Okay. Jalen, you got it? Read New American Standard.
New American Standard, Deuteronomy 6 and 5. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might.
You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your might. That's a part of the Ten Commandments. Did you get something?
Now, just go to the next verse.
Go to the next verse. Go to the next verse.
It says, in verse 6 of Deuteronomy 6, says, these words which I am commanding you today shall be on your heart.
These commandments I'm giving you, this is Moses talking, these commandments I'm giving you today should be on your heart. Let me go a little further. This should be in your heart. Yeah, it should be in your heart. Now watch this. Love the Lord God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul.
That's what that answer.
Not yet. He's really not writing a new commandment. But keep in mind, the Ten Commandments are old. The Ten Commandments are they're old, right?
Right.
He says, I write a new commandment to you. Go to help me, Lord, with this. I'm going to try to pull this out. Let's go back to what Brother Jaden read. St. John 13 and 14. 34 and 35 rather. Before I do that, I want to see something here real quick. Before I do that, so another scripture came in which I don't have marked, but I want to see something. I want to show y'all something. In Matthew's Gospel, Matthew's Gospel, chapter 22, verse 37. This is supporting scripture of Deuteronomy 6 and 5. I'm going to try. God, help me with this. Matthew's Gospel, 22 and 37. Because we read, and watch this. Jesus talking here. And I want to read 37, 38, and 39. And with the Lord's help, try to tie this in to where it makes sense. Here's Matthew's Gospel, chapter 22, verse 37 through 39. Jesus said unto him. First of all, who's the him in the text? The him is a lawyer asked him a question. Let me go. I'm just going to read 35 to 39, okay?
Okay.
Then one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question, really testing him or tempting him, saying, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Which is the greatest commandment in the law? Verse 37. Jesus said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. Watch this. This is Jesus talking. This is the first and great commandment. This is the first and great commandment. But I go to verse 39, he's going to give us the second commandment. Listen to this. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now, help me tie it in, Lord. He says in verse 8, again, a new commandment rather, I write to you. Really, the only thing, he's really not writing that new. He's only writing what Jesus said in Matthew's Gospel. Now, wait a minute. Deuteronomy 6 and 5 is one of the commandments, one of the 10 commandments. Wait a minute. But the second one is not in the 10 commandments. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's not in there. Well, watch this. Here's what Jesus said. Jesus brought a higher law because the 10 commandments were laws. They were guidelines. They were regulations. So Jesus comes on the scene and brings about a higher law when he came. The 10 commandments that Moses brought on the stone of tablets written in the finger of God were just basic commandments. Watch this. Basic commandments for the Jews to get used to. I'm going to say it again. The 10 commandments were basic commandments for the Jews to get used to. Watch me go. Watch me go further. Then they were supposed to get ready to receive a higher law of Christ when he came on the scene. He was really preparing them basic principles. And so when he came on the scene, he gave them a higher commandment: love your neighbor as yourself. So in other words, you ought to love your neighbor like you love yourself. He says, really, I'm writing a new one, but it's a new one that came from Jesus. It's really new. It's really not new, but I'm just repeating what Jesus wrote and said in the New Testament or the New Commandments. And basically, here's what he's saying. He says, you can't love your neighbor until you love God first. You can't love your neighbor until you love God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. And when you love God like this, then you can love your neighbor as yourself. So again, he said, in essence, he's really not writing a new commandment. He's just repeating what Jesus said. And Jesus said that to a higher degree. Because, watch this. It's easy to love somebody when things are going smooth, but if they do something wrong to you, it's harder to love. But what Jesus said, love them like you love yourself, even when they mistreat you, even when they do things wrong to you. You have got to love your neighbor like you love yourself. Okay, who is my neighbor? Well, y'all maybe go to Luke's gospel. There's a story in Luke's gospel. There's a man who was beat up by thieves on Jericho Road, which is considered a rough road. He was beat up and left for half dead. I'm going to do it like this. I'm not going to go through all of it. I don't have time to go through all of it. There were some church people who saw him and went on the other side. The Bible says, but there was a Samaritan, which was not normally a person who would go and help. But this Samaritan went out of his way to help this man who was beat up. He puts him, I'm going to use a different vernacular. I'm going to use what the Bible says, I'm going to use a different vernacular. He puts him on his donkey and takes him to an inn. I'm using today's vernacular. He puts him in his car. Watch this. He puts him in his Rolls Royce. He's bloody, he's beat up. He's bloody and he's beat up. But he puts him in his Rolls Royce and takes him to the inn. Watch this. He tells the innkeeper, take care of him. He said, whatever, when I get back, whatever I need to pay you, when I get back, I'll pay you. But in the meantime, take care of him. But the church people went on the other side. They did not want to be bothered with him. And the question was in Luke's gospel, who is thy neighbor? It's not the person who lives next to you. Your neighbor is anybody in whom you come in contact with. That's your neighbor. And so Jesus used that in Luke's gospel. Jesus was talking then with that parable. And so he's saying again, this is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Let's continue with verse number 8, though. I just thought I'd put that out there, and I hope you get that nugget in the center of that question. Let's go back to verse 8. But I want you to see something. I want to start over. And again, a new commandment I write to you, which thing is true. Watch this. Which is true in him and in you. True in Jesus and in you. In other words, this true word, the truth of the gospel, the truth of the word, and he is the word, is in him and also is in you. Now watch what he says when you keep on reading 8. He said, which is in him and in you. He says, because the darkness is passing away. The darkness is passing away. You are now walking in the light. You are now, I'm going to use this way. You are now receiving the principles of Scripture. You are now receiving the principles of the Word. And you are now, the darkness is now passing, Jesus, is now passing away. And watch this. And the true light is already, what's this? Is already shining. Because you love your neighbor as yourself, and because you are gravitating to what the word is saying in loving your neighbor or loving your brother, you are now light shining. You are light. You are shining light. You are shining light. Any add-ons, any comments? All right.
One comment says, the love that the righteous bear to God and to each other is a renewal of the commandment.
Yes.
Another comment says, if you do love God, there is no room for anything but love. It's just in you.
That's correct. Because if we're born of God and God is love, we ought to do the same thing if we are born of God. I'll show you that verse when it comes to verse 9 in a minute. If we're born of God, that characteristic of love is in us. I want you to know a word. You cannot have human love, because human love, if as I stated earlier, if somebody does you wrong, you're not going to like them anymore. You're going to hate them. But when you have agape love, God's love, whether they do something wrong to you or whatever, you're going to still love them. You still going to treat them right. You still going to be kind to them, because you have the love of God in you. You have allowed the love of God to go on the inside, deep inside. Not just on the inside, but deep inside you, all in your heart, and you will not allow anything to deter you from the authentic love of God and the love of God that's in you, to let it go to anything else. Agape love, God's love. And we have that eros love. That's conditional love. Some people have conditional love. You can't have conditional love and be a Christian. Ooh, can I stay right there for a moment? You and I cannot have eros, conditional love, because, okay, he does this for me, so I'm going to love him. Only I'm going to love him only if this happens, if it just goes like this. That's conditional love. When you have God's authentic love, you love unconditionally. Love unconditionally. Watch this. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoso believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. He shall send his Son in the world, not to condemn the world, but the world through him might be saved. Watch this. So Jesus gives himself for us. They beat him, they whipped him, but he loved us so much. He demonstrates authentic love right there. Jesus demonstrates authentic love right there. He gives himself. He loved us so much that he gives himself. He gives his body. He gives his life for us because he loves us so much. Took abuse. He took physical, verbal abuse because he loved us so much. We have got to have the same type of love. As we read in Matthew's Gospel, Deuteronomy, it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. With everything in you, your whole being, love God. And as you love God, you will love your neighbor as you love yourself. Is there a comment?
Yes, support the scripture.
Go ahead.
Support the scripture to verse 8 is Romans 13
That's it.
and verse 12.
Yes, sir. I was going there, but thank y'all so much. Come on, work with me.
It reads from the New American Standard Version, and it reads, the night is almost gone, and the day is near. Therefore, let us lay aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light.
Did y'all get that? The night is far spent. The day is at hand. Right now is at hand. Therefore, let us cast off the works of darkness. Get rid of it. And let us put on the armor. The armor of light. Put on the clothing of light. It's far spent. The night is far spent. Put on. Get up, get rid, cast off the darkness and put on the armor of light. That's good. That's good support scripture. Got another? Anything? All right, that's good one. No comment? All right, let's go to 9. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna be done. Watch this. Now John ain't cutting no corners here. I told you last week. John kind of like Paul. He just tell it like it is. T-I-is. Watch what John says in verse number 9. And we're gonna close. Before I read 9, let me read this in regards to verse 8. Yet, it's also new, Jesus lived the truth of this commandment. Not just, Jesus lived the truth of this commandment. And you also are living it. And now what he's doing here, he's really encouraging the saints because they're doing it what Jesus did. But he's encouraging them, keep on keeping on. Keep up the good work. Watch this. He says, for the darkness is disappearing. The darkness is disappearing. Why? Because you're walking in the light. It's disappearing and the light is already shining. Light is shining on you and through you. Now, verse number 9. Watch what John says here. He who says he is in the light and hates his brother is in darkness until now. Is in darkness until now. He says he's in light. He who says he is in the light. A person may claim he claims he's in the light, or he who professes he's in the light, he claims to be in the light and hates his brother. I want to show y'all something here. And hates his brother.